What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some of Tom Brady's throwing mechanics. We're going to be talking about two of the best throws that he's made so far this season, 2020. We're going to be talking about how you guys can be a more accurate passer, how you guys can get more velocity on your throws, more zip on the ball, and then how you can be more consistent with your touch throws. Okay, and guys, if you're a quarterback and you want to get better at reading coverages, being able to understand defenses, know what defenses are going to do, that's the most beneficial thing about playing quarterback. Okay, a lot of people think it's just throwing the ball. If you want to get better at reading coverages, check out that link in the description. It says learn how to read defenses. 200 plus already made breakdowns. So you get access upon purchase, access to 200 videos all on how to break down every single defense that you're going to come across. We break down NFL defenses, and I make it simple so high school guys, college guys, even youth guys can understand it. And then you get 4 new videos every week. So 200 will eventually turn into 300. 300 will turn into 400 because we're going to continue to do this every single week. Hope to get you guys on that soon. Again, link in the description. Let's get started. So first things first here, we're going to be talking about Brady, and we're going to mainly be focusing on his foot strike here and the timing of his sequence. Okay, so let's watch this throw full speed. So if you guys are familiar with my videos, you hear I talk about the sequence a lot, and that's essentially you want to have great timing with your front stride, right? There's no such thing as an overstride. It's just wrong timing, right? Yeah, obviously you can overstride. Obviously it's a long stride, but the reason why that's bad is it's wrong timing, and you're going to be more of a shoulder thrower rather than a hip thrower, okay? So first things first, I want to start out by saying you want to pretend like you got a pole going straight down your back when you're throwing this thing in the pocket. A good center of gravity, nice strong base. You see slight bend to his knees. He's not standing vertical. He's not standing completely vertical in an unathletic stance. He's got a slight bend to his knees, so he's able to get the front foot down quick and be able to rotate his hips through. So when he's here in the pocket, again, another thing I want you guys to notice is how relaxed he is with this ball carriage, okay? This is something that a lot of quarterbacks think they do, but they don't really do it. If you guys, I heard this yesterday, and I thought this was a great analogy. If you guys are throwing and you're not able to hold a conversation, like if you're saying something, you have to and grunt it out and breathe hard as you're throwing, that means you're straining too much and you're not relaxed. You want to be completely relaxed, let your body do the work. When you're throwing, you should be able to hold a conversation just like I'm talking right now and be able to make throws. So that's how you can tell if you're too tense on this throw. Also, what you don't want to do is load up and put this ball up by your ear, right? If you hold this thing nice and relaxed by your chest, or inside, it doesn't have to be perfect at your chest. It could be on that like shelf, quote unquote, that everybody likes, but it's got to be in a position ready to throw at all times. You don't want to have to lift it up, because imagine if Brady was here and there was this throwing window that he has to anticipate, but to get ready for this throw, he's got to lift the ball up to his ear. He's going to be a fraction of a second late, and those inches matter as you get older and older and older as you progress levels of football, right? So now, when he goes to make this throw, look at his front foot. You see how quick that foot strike is. It's a quick strike, and you see how he doesn't need to open up his toe. Everybody loves to talk about, oh, you want to open up your toe directly at the target. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not going to say that's bad. I'm not. There are many ways to throw a football. Everybody throws it differently, right? And you see how when Brady takes this thing back, he doesn't get to that perfect opposite L. He kind of holds that nose of the ball down and comes almost up a little bit, right? But he still has some kind of a backstroke, and he's in his backstroke upon foot strike, right? That's the goal that we're trying to get to. But you see, brings me back to my point with the front toe. His front toe ain't completely open. It's slightly closed to the left because that gives him a little bit more balance and a little bit more stability. What's going to be able to rotate him through are his hips. If he can open up that front hip and drive to the point where his shoulders are level and his hips are level, and I call it being square, so as you could almost draw a square on his body, that's how we get a consistent release point, and your release point is accurate if you keep your head in the same spot, right? So that's how we be consistent. Everybody thinks that accuracy is all about, oh, where am I flicking my wrist, right? But what gets you to that wrist flick, right? And that's going to be your upper half mechanics. If you take that front side, let's say Brady's here, and he takes that front elbow and swings his elbow down, right? He doesn't leave that front hand right by his face, and he doesn't finish here. Let's say he swings his elbows down, his shoulders down. That's going to push your release high, and you're going to come down on the ball. Let's say Brady's here, and he opens up that front shoulder and really swings his front shoulder. His body's moving down an axis, right? If he does that with his front side, his arm's going to fly, and he's going to be coming across his body. How you guys can get a consistent release point where you can extend like how Brady does right here, at the target, almost like you're throwing at a dartboard, that's going to come from your body staying square and you letting your hips drive through, right? So again, that brings me back to my point, how we're able to get torque. It's almost like a slingshot effect, right? So your front foot gets down as your shoulders stay back, right? Because now you got that like loaded position. It's almost like a bow and arrow. And then when your hips start to rip through, you keep that front hand like you almost want to be here and like pull it back to your chest. I don't want to say pull it back because I think that's a little bit too much to think about, but you want to like leave that hand by your face like you're eating a sandwich or eating a burger, however you want to think about it, but you take that ball back here in your backstroke, front foot gets down, now your hips are what rotates you through because that's how you get more velocity on it. You see how what Brady does with that back foot? He pivots that back foot. He turns that back foot over to where his heel is almost facing something behind him, right? That helps with you turning over your front foot. What a lot of people will do with this back foot is they leave it pointing towards the sideline and they'll drag it through. They'll push real good, but they don't turn that toe over, right? And what I mean turn that toe over is like turn that big toe, like you hear it in baseball a lot, like squish the back bug. Kind of the same idea. You want to push and then pivot because that will drive your hips through, and that's how you get velocity on the ball. You want the ball to chase your hip. You want your hip to be coming through before the football. That's how you know you're in a nice, strong torque position. If you have a firm front leg, Brady slightly closes that front foot so he has a little bit more balance. When you open up that toe, you're more susceptible to extending out or swinging out or being off balance. So if you can keep that front knee bent, you have a more stable base, and that allows you to rotate through with your hips just a little bit more, right? And again, staying square with this front. I can't stress how important that front arm is, right? Because if you swing that front arm out or around or down, that affects your release, and then we're going to be inconsistent. But if you could keep that front hand somewhere in front of your face the whole time, it doesn't have to be in front of your face. It could be on your collarbone. Just don't open it up. Don't swing the elbow down for power, and then I could trust my follow through. I could trust my wrist flick wherever I need this thing to go. That's a great job here by Brady being accurate. And you see how that front leg hardly moves throughout the throw. That's where we want to be. We don't want to let that front leg extend out because then all the power shoots up. I don't want to be light on those toes and swing everything out this way because then I kick my follow through, and my follow through, I let my arm fly. That's the term that I use. Okay, so let's watch this thing full speed again. And I know that's a lot of information, but that's why you guys can go back and watch this video, right? Because Brady, in my opinion, him and Rodgers have the two smoothest motions, like most efficient motions. I think this is why Brady's been able to do it for so long because of just how efficient he is throwing the ball. This literally has no stress. Obviously it has some stress, but it's about a 95, 98% throw with his body. His arm's just paying the tip, right? Like you're going out to dinner, your body pays the tab, your arm is going to pay the tip. That just tips the waiter. That's how you want to think of this thing. Let's watch it again. Full speed one more time. Great job by Brady. Quick foot strike. Let my hips do it. Emphasize that follow through like you're throwing at a dartboard. So now we're going to be talking about throwing with touch, right? So pretty much the same thing. We're going to talk about how everybody's backstroke is a little bit different, and how your hips should be when you throw with some touch and how your follow through should be with some touch. So this is a very, very, very accurate throw here by Brady, just dropping this thing into Gronk, right, into like almost triple coverage. So that's a pretty gutsy throw here, but that's his guy. So we're going to talk about how, again, look at where his front foot is. Front foot's in the ground. Slight bend to that front knee as well as he's going back with the ball, as he's in this backstroke, right? That's what we call that backstroke. Now, everybody thinks that you have to get to this perfect L angle where the ball is turned like at a 90 degree and your wrist is flat and everything's even. Everybody throws the ball differently. That's why I don't stress that much. Obviously, if a guy has a problem and what you don't want is you don't want to lift straight to 90. You don't want to lift straight to 90 because then you have to have your shoulders come through before your hips. It's hard to have that good sequence. You want to get to that some kind of a backstroke to where when your hips come through, your hip drive, you see how Brady's rotating through with his hips, that's what brings him up to that 90 degree or thereabouts. It doesn't have to be a perfect 90 degree, obviously, but that's what brings him up to that 90 is his hip drive, his hip rotating through. Because you think about it, hold your arm in a backstroke, and when you rotate your body and you rotate your hips, your arm has to come along. You can't rotate through all the way and have your arm stay in that 90 degree angle. That rotator cuff forces you up to that 90 degree, right? So we got to make sure that my hips are what brings me up. My bad. Your hips are what brings you up to the 90, right? That's where we got to be. But some kind of backstroke, and you see how Brady has the nose pointed down? That's fine. You got to find what's comfortable for you and what's most efficient, right? But now, where should your hips go when we're throwing with touch? Your hips can't just rip around fast like they would on that last throw where we're throwing this thing across the back of the end zone. We want my hips to go up because I want that hip path to be up so my follow-through can be up in the air like I'm shooting a free throw. So you see how when Brady comes here, it's almost like his hip drive is going in this direction. That's how we want to be. That's how we want to throw a touch. Your head still stays level. Your shoulders stay square. Your hips stay square. It's just on a different plane. You're on a different plane. You're on a different platform. You're throwing up and over. And now to get that nice arc on the ball, what do you think we have to do when my hips are coming through? But also it's very important you stay stable with that front knee. Obviously it's going to eventually extend because you're throwing with touch, but you don't want it to lock out. You don't want that knee to lock out abruptly because then you lose all that energy that you're producing from that back leg and that hip drive. But where's his hip? Hip is through before the ball. We still got to be able to produce torque even when I'm throwing with some touch. Now, where do I got to be with that follow through? I got to let that follow through go at the top like I'm shooting a free throw. That's how I get that arc on that thing. You change the level of that follow through. You extend up at the top. Again, like I'm talking about, you're shooting a basketball shot, shooting a free throw. That's how we want to think of this thing. I want my hips to go up and over, and I want to shoot my follow through up at the top. Now, a lot of people struggle to get the nose of the ball to turn over. What that comes from is your front hip being able to open up and this, right? A lot of people who push that ball, and if this is one of you, because I know this is a common thing, because a lot of guys message me all the time and they struggle with this, to get that nose of the ball to turn over. Usually that means that you're more of a shoulder thrower and your hips aren't coming through. If you get those hips to rotate through on that plane, on that touch throw, and you're not swinging your front elbow down, you're not leaning your head out of there, and you snap at the top, that nose will start to turn over for you. I had the problem a lot because I like to swing my front elbow down. That's what I was taught from the time I was 8 years old, is that front elbow is what gives you power, when really it's your hips. And I didn't learn that till later in my playing career, that your hips are what do it, and the nose would never turn over for me because I always had that problem with my elbow. But when you get your hips more, you open up that front. And a guy who's never played quarterback can't tell you that shit before. I can't tell you how many guys who try to say that they're a quarterback coach and they've never even played quarterback. Quarterback's not a position where you could do that. You get that front hip to open up, shoulders stay back, snap that wrist at the top. That's how you help that thing to turn over. Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. So again, he's here, hips coming up and over, snap that wrist at the top to get that nose to turn over for you. Great ball here by Brady. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. Again, if you're a quarterback or a receiver, even if you're watching this, and you want to get better reading coverages, check out that link in the description, how to read defenses, like Netflix almost for quarterbacks, and learning how to read coverages. If you guys have any questions or comments or concerns, leave that in the comment section below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll see you guys next time.